What's on, guys? JHoyt back with you today. Welcome back to some Black Ops 4 League play. We're rocking with the ICR, playing hardpoint on Gridlock. And this one, it's a closely contested battle, and it's going to stay that way throughout the rest of the game. So today, topic I've been obviously pretty shaken up over. And we're going to be talking about Optic Gaming one more time. However, we're not necessarily talking about the brand this time. We're talking about the fan base. So if you guys don't know who Optic Gaming is, you've probably been living underneath a rock. But their fan base is called the GreenWall. And I could go into the whole backstory, but that's not really the purpose of this video. So the purpose of this video is to, I hate to say it, look on your screen. This is the post I found on Reddit, and obviously I never mean anything negative against the people that are writing these, and the title is Unpopular Opinion on Optic Gaming. And they say, as we move towards the 2020 season and roster mania is lit, I personally think Optic Gaming's demise was needed and actually has been a success. The fan base is slowly splitting itself across different teams. This can only be good for viewership and growth. Hit me with your downvotes. And I really hate to say it, but I almost kind of agree with this guy or girl. I don't really know. One male 4 doesn't really help me out with a person behind it. But let's kind of go through it. So at every event, what was the most popular, cheering session? Optic Gaming. What was every event's hometown team? Optic Gaming. Who had the biggest fan base? Optic Gaming. Who was, pretty consistently always a top team, making, their players part of the brand and not just the brand? Optic Gaming. So obviously there's going to be a ton of people that love Optic Gaming for lots of different reasons. And, I don't want to say I was one, but I am one, which we'll talk about later on. But this guy says it was needed and actually has been a success. I mean, I wouldn't say it's been a success, only because we haven't really seen how the fan base is going to turn out yet. Now, a lot of the fan base is obviously from Hex, creating Optic. But then again, you think about obviously Nature had a big audience, Scump has a big audience, even the likes of Formal, Crim6, Karma, those types of guys. Those guys will pull viewers wherever they go. Those guys will pull fans wherever they go. Guys like Clayster, all of the United guys that just won champs. I mean, obviously some of the bigger names. So you don't know how the fan base is going to turn out just yet. So obviously Hex went over to NRG now. He is the co-CEO of NRG and the CEO of the Chicago Call of Duty team. And I mean, I think a lot of people will kind of migrate over to be, NRG fans, or at least to be Chicago Call of Duty fans because of Hex. And again, nothing's been official as far as their Call of Duty team went, at least as I'm recording it, this video. But the rumored roster in Chicago is Scump, Formal, Gunless, Arcides, and Envoy. Which, Scump and Formal, Scump alone will bring a huge fan base. Then you add Formal into that mix, obviously 2/4 of the Optic Dynasty. Then you have Gunless, one of the best players probably of all time. Not necessarily as far as, tournaments and championships and everything go, but, has a lot of skill, but just hasn't been around for a while and just hasn't, picked up those championships, but is a very good player. Arcides just won the World Championship with the United. And then Envoy, who kind of came out of, I don't want to say nowhere, but kind of came out of nowhere and, produced a lot with the Gen G squad, with who was he on before that? Was it Midnight? I don't remember. But, that's a pretty solid squad. And then I'm not sure who the rumored coach is over there, but you think maybe TP would stay with them. I know Facento went, but Crowder's already been announced on Atlanta. So, I mean, that's a couple of big names already there, plus Hex is there. So you got to think, you know, that would already kind of migrate all of those fans over to that new Chicago side. But again, that's all rumored. We don't know 100% what their team is yet. They have not, you know, announced anything. They have not confirmed anything. So that's where, you know, it's obviously still in limbo. So I would assume they're still trying to sign that team, or, you know, whatever it's to do with transfers or buyouts or whatever the case is, especially when United's not in franchising. 100 Thieves is not in franchising. That doesn't really have anything to do with this. Gen G, I don't think is in franchise, unless I'm forgetting about recent news with them. And then obviously Optic is part of that LA brand with Immortals. So it's tough, because myself personally, I guess we'll kind of bring this up now, is obviously I, you know, proudly supported the GreenWall when, you know, all of my favorite people were there. And, you know, that's how I grew up in esports, and that's how and who I watched, you know, all of YouTube and Twitch streams and tournaments and everything else. And it's like the Halo team went away, which I really enjoyed. The really God Squad Halo team, like Lethal, Snakebite, Royal 2, Royal 1, Frosty, like all of that team, that Dynasty team, like I followed them. Then Frosty kind of switched over to COD, and then I don't know what else happened to the rest of them, but, you know, they're no longer a team, so that kind of sucked. I mean, half of them are, and I don't really know what's going on in Halo, to be honest, but, now obviously that team I followed a lot. The Gears of War team now is over at NRG with Hex, so now it kind of moves my interest towards NRG. Then their CSGO team has Tarek on it. Well, they did, until they transferred everyone from their CSGO team over to Evil Geniuses for whatever reason. Number 3 team in the world, by the way. So I don't really understand where that one came from. And then I'm not really sure what else NRG is actually in right now, other than Overwatch with the San Francisco Shock, I believe is their name. So does my loyalty now lie with NRG, with Hex, with the old Gears of team, old Optic Gears of War Dynasty team that's now over there? Obviously, I don't know what's going on with their CS team, and I'm not sure what else teams they're in, because I don't really pay attention. But now the Chicago team is now under Hex's leadership. So you got to think that, you know, Scump, Formal would probably lean towards Hex, knowing that he knows what he's doing over there. And then obviously those two players would definitely want to bring in big name targets like Arcides, Gunless, and Envoy. Envoy not so much of a superstar, but still a very good player, and I would even consider him as probably a star player, because he actually performed really well with that Gen G lineup. But where do you go after that? Like, then they were also, NRG is obviously a very popular team, obviously not nearly as popular as Optic was, but then you look at guys and girls from the old Optic, you know, team or brand, I should say, such as Hitch. Obviously Hitch and Hex have been super close for a while now, and you got to think, does Hitch and the rest of the TST boys go over to NRG? Because obviously you have teams like the Mob, which I'm not too familiar with and what content they produce, but then you see teams like that go over to 100 Thieves, and it's like, wait, obviously Optic's not really, you know, that thing anymore. So now does Hitch and Hex reunite over there with TST, and then TST blows up and does their own thing, and whatever the case is there. But I don't know. I mean, it all kind of depends on how this upcoming, you know, season goes. Because so far, the the Minnesota Call of Duty team doesn't really have any big names on it. They have Silly, Assault, and GodRx. I don't know who else has been announced for that team just yet. But really not really notable names there. I mean, not really like a team you'd go out of your way to cheer for. But then the New York team that's been announced so far has been Zuma, Accuracy, Temp, and Zero so far. So that's a pretty good solid squad. So you got some pretty good names there. You see probably a lot of the FaZe fans going back towards that FaZe team that's a little bit similar. I think what they have Zuma and Zero from the old FaZe team. But obviously Temp is a big name there and a young superstar in his own right. And then the old reliable Accuracy, although he's not really that old, could bring some fans over there from EG, from Splice, and potentially from FaZe as well. So we're going to have to kind of wait and see where everyone's loyalty is going to lie this year with the new Call of Duty League this year. And kind of see where members of that GreenWall do end up. So to this guy's point, I wouldn't say it's been a success. I would say it's kind of something that's we'll see over time where everyone kind of ends up, and we'll just kind of go from there. But let me know your guys' thoughts down in that comment section below. I'd love to have a conversation with you about what you guys think, whether you're FaZe fans, Optic fans, whether you guys are excited to see some of your favorite players go to certain teams. I'd love to talk to you guys with that down below. But anyway, guys, I'm going to wrap this one up here. If you did enjoy, hit that like button down below if you haven't already. Hit the subscribe button. And as always, guys, we'll see you next time.